Welcome back. I hope you guys had some good discussions. I would imagine that you could with this movie. I think that you can get pretty far along, no matter if this is your first time kind of doing one of these faith and films, or whether you've been doing them all summer with us. This one's pretty straightforward, but it's a good one. Also, I noticed that we're both wearing Star Wars shirts.
I definitely almost wore that one today. That
which is good. Mine's
really
better.
Funny.
And so what we've got going on, let's just do this. The movie's Beauty and the Beast. Let's take Beauty and then Beast, and then we'll do some of the themes. I'll take Belle. Belle is obviously a Christ character throughout this whole film. If you didn't pick up on that, I'm sorry. Belle equals Jesus. And so what we've got from Belle is definitely the one who is set apart in her community. There's a word for that in the Bible. I think it's holy. The word holy means set apart. She's obviously the one set apart in her community. She is different. She is one who is definitely morally upright. We see that in her relationship with Gaston. She's one who is kind of pressing forward in that. And then what we see in this relationship of who Belle is that she really takes part in multiple layers of saving people. She steps in on saving her dad, and in, I don't know, substitutionary atonement, where she takes the punishment for his sin of taking the rose, and so she kind of takes the place for her dad there. Then later on, she goes and rescues, almost redeems her dad from being taken to the asylum. Later, she comes back and is a part of kind of the rescue and ransom of the Beast character. This is something that kind of plays throughout the whole film. There's even that kind of moment of temptation of going back and kind of just going back to her everyday life that we see in the Gospels. Not nearly as clearly, but what it means to be tempted towards something different. And so she really takes on that kind of salvation character.
Yeah, and then so if he's Beauty, which I think we can agree to disagree.
Aren't we all?
I'll be Beast. So the Beast character kind of is more like us. If Belle's the Christ character, then Beast would be the character that we can most relate with. And you're all going, yeah, okay, maybe you can because you have a beard. Thank you, I do. But he has this tragic past, right? His mom dies, and his dad kind of abuses him and turns him into the Beast, basically. That's what the other characters say, which leads him to be extremely cold-hearted and broken. And there's a line that he says to Belle when her father is in prison. He says, I was judged eternally, or I was eternally damned for one act. And then, she goes, forever can wait a minute. But so basically, Agatha, or you find out that it's Agatha, that character comes in and judges him for his sin. And really, he thinks even in that moment that it's just that one act, but it's really the continuation of he was evil on the inside, and it culminated in him judging the widow, or not the widow, the woman character. There we go. And then he goes on, and that kind of continues. Now he's Beast, and he's judging others. He judges the dad because he stole the rose. He judges Belle because she's the common daughter of a thief, right? But then you see this change in him. He saves Belle from the wolves. He comes to realize that there's more to her than meets the eye in the library, and then he eventually sets her free. And it goes to the point where he dies for her. He's reborn. He's brought into this new community. And so we can find parallels in the Beast with our story, right? A lot of us have tragic pasts. A lot of us are broken. A lot of us have stuff that we haven't really dealt with, and it's caused us to kind of be cold-hearted. And when it comes down to, Scripture talks clearly about, it's not just the things that you do that there's this divide between you and God. Really, it's who you are on the inside. We're all filled with sin. And that's why Jesus is so awesome, because he sets us free from that. But that sin leads us to judge others. It's so much easier to see the faults in everybody else than it is to see the faults in our own heart, right? But through Jesus and through the redemption that he offers, and in the story Belle offers, we can come to restoration, and we can be set free in the same way that the Beast was set free.
Yeah, love it. I mean, a lot of times in some of these films, the church is kind of portrayed as this negative thing. Totally not so much in this.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously we get, so what we get is that Belle, like this Christ character, offers love to somebody who is totally undeserving of it, and in that act, he is justified, he's redeemed, he's made new, he's made whole, and there's like the whole community coming back together. We see that the Beast character has to literally die to self to kind of rise again to a new life, and this is all portrayed actually in positive light throughout the whole thing. I love that though Belle is seen as like odd and weird because she likes to read and know and have truth and education, where does she find that? In that little podunk library of 4 books, which is in a church. Like, that the only people who recognize that she is a positive character is this kind of pastor character in the church. I love that.
Yeah, it's crazy. And so, we touched on the characters and how they kind of parallel. And so you want to touch on some themes now, just so we can kind of dig into that?
Yeah. And so, like, the idea of the church is definitely one of them. I'll hit on one more, and really that's this Gaston character. And I think that a lot of us can identify with the Gaston character more than we would like to admit. And really, he's just this arrogant dude who really thinks that he can kind of claim for himself whatever it is. Whether it's his physical appearance or his relationship with Belle, or the way to kind of manipulate his community at the end, or kind of to look down on the Beast or other characters, that he's this person who really thinks that he can kind of take whatever he wants. And I think that that's honestly the way that a lot of us act.
Yeah, way more often than I think we want to admit. And so that's why when, I talked a little bit earlier about the Beast, his attitude, he says, I was eternally damned for one act. But what that actually was a culmination of his whole self.
Yeah.
Right? He judged the hag or whatever who came into that party, but that party was not the one instance in his whole entire life where he was judgmental of somebody else. And here's the thing, we can all kind of resonate with that as well. Like we said, it's easy for us to see the faults in everybody else and to totally ignore them in ourselves.
Yeah. Also love the townspeople in this. That the townspeople were able to like regain who they were created to be. So we see like the townspeople had an identity that was theirs, but then through this sin and through this brokenness, they were kind of lost that identity, and at the end they needed to be kind of reunited with one another in the sacrificial act of love. All of a sudden there's this, like, they got their identity back. And I think that that's so true of Christians. Man, we were created for a reason and a purpose, and that like Christ's act of love actually gives us the chance to live out of the identity that we were all supposed to live out of.
Yeah. And so we're hoping that you've seen some of this in the film. We want you, the purpose of this is not just to watch cool stuff, but to see and have conversations about Jesus, right? And this film hopefully brings that out in a big and awesome way, so that you can see that, like, Jesus is the one who can save you. Jesus is the one who can set you free. Jesus is the one who can redeem and heal your brokenness. And so we want you to know that. And so we want to have those conversations. And if you want to have those conversations after this, do it. That would be super awesome. But for now, we will see you next week. We love you guys. Have a great night.
See ya.